Fetcher, Chief Growth Officer at Cypress North. We're a digital agency in Buffalo, New York, and you're listening to the Agency Scoop. Each episode, I'll tackle a specific topic from an agency point of view. We're going to talk about what's helping us grow, challenges that we face, how we're working with our clients, and even things that bring us joy. Welcome to this episode of the Agency Scoop, where we're going to talk about being a working mom. So I'm joined here by Jessica Budd, who all of my listeners know by now. It's been on a lot of these shows. And Christine Zernheld.
Hello. AKA Shep.
AKA Shep. You may have heard both of these lovely ladies on Marketing O'Clock. And today they're joining me on the Agency Scoop to talk about what it's like to be a working mom. So, Shep, do you want to start? Tell us about your kids.
Okay, so...
Kid? How many do you have?
I'm a mother of one. It's very new for me. The age is about 5 months, and the gender is female. She's wonderful, and we have a really good time.
And she's the TikTok star.
Oh, yeah, she's the TikTok star. Not going to tell you where to follow me, but yeah, she likes to dance, and she really likes Dua Lipa.
That's awesome.
And Olivia Rodrigo.
Who doesn't? The kids these days, they love her. How about you, Jess?
So I'm also a mother of one. My little guy is 20 months. And so I feel like people that don't have kids don't do the month thing. So that's about 1.5 years, a little more. And he's awesome. He doesn't know what TikTok is, but neither do I. So it's fine. I publish my Instagram stories to Facebook stories so my mom can see it. So he's kind of a social media maven, but I feel like he's on the platforms that the kids are not. So
Nice.
Jill, tell us about your brood.
So I have 3. There are 3, 6, and 7, 2 girls and a boy. And my girls think that they're TikTok stars. They're not actually on TikTok, but they watch Instagram Reels.
And they just have you film it.
Yeah.
And you post it on your story.
Yeah. They tell me to film them a lot. So I guess all of our kids are social media stars.
Yeah.
So we wanted to get together today to talk about kind of being a working mom, the challenges, the joys, the struggle, the fun, all of the things. But maybe we could start with like the pre-mom process. So I remember the first time I was pregnant, I was at a different company than this, and I was the first person to have a baby, the first mom to have a baby in about 7 years. So nobody really knew what to do or give me advice or knew like what I needed to do from an HR standpoint or anything. So it was kind of stressful to figure out maternity leave and when I wanted to come back, what I needed to do, all of those kinds of things. And then once I figured it out, then I was able to kind of help other people along the way. And it was that much easier each time. So I don't know. What did you guys think about that process?
It was interesting. I had a similar but completely dissimilar experience to you. So I wasn't the first person here to get pregnant, but the person previous to me that was pregnant like left before she had her baby. She was moving out of the area and she left. So I was the first one to like leave and come back and have to actually go through what maternity leave looks like. And we were a much smaller agency back then. And so we were going through some growing pains, but it was not stressful at all because luckily management here at Cypress North is phenomenal and flexible, and just like we, met in a room, talked about it. What are you comfortable with? What do you need? And like they made it super easy, but we also didn't really have a process for it. So I don't want to say, pregnancy pioneer here, but
no, you
it
were
was the Wild
pioneer.
West, but it was fine. It was fine because we're lucky to have supportive management team. So.
Yeah, I just think all the time, like I don't know how Jess did it because all the things you have to figure out, like without having anyone to ask, I think would have been so overwhelming. But yeah, same with me. I found out, we talked about it. We kind of overhauled the maternity leave standards when I was pregnant because we had grown so much at that point and Jill was here. So I think I was like the first to have like an official policy. But again, very supportive management. And that was a great feeling. Like I can't imagine. I was talking to Jill recently about someone we both know who kind of felt like the company wasn't like supporting her, like they were just tolerating her being a mom and like doing what they had to do, but not like being behind her. And I just feel so lucky that we work here. Yeah. But I will say like disability is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And like so confusing. And even like talking to Jill about it, like we just had both different experiences. Like we go to the same doctor.
Yeah.
And had like completely different situations. And then I talk to people who work for like large companies too, and they're just as confused as I am. So it's confusing for everyone.
Yeah.
Just give yourself some grace and ask questions.
Yeah. I think the insurance companies make it difficult on purpose. Honestly, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Not that you don't have other things to figure out
Right.
at that time in your life, right? Like, let's just add a layer of confusion to that. It's not cool.
Exactly. Well, one of the things I was thinking about, I remember going to the HR person at my previous agency about what do I do with maternity leave? Like, how do I, like, what's the process? What do I do? What's the paperwork? All these things. And she didn't have kids. She had worked there for 20 something years. She didn't have kids. And she was kind of like, what do you want to do? It's like what she said to me. And I was like, I don't know what happens. Like, what's possible? What do I do next? And she was like, well, are you sure you're going to come back to work? And I was kind of offended by that question at the time, but I guess a lot of people don't,
Yeah.
but I just never, to me, that's a big thing for me that I never felt like, oh, I don't want to come back to work. Like, I've never felt that way. I've always felt like this is such a big part of me. Like, what I do is my career. And so, I don't know if you've had that with people in your life where they're like, oh, are you sure you're going to go back after maternity leave? It seems like a common question. And to me, it always felt like jarring, like it shouldn't be.
Yeah, I was asked that a lot too. Or people just being like, are you going to try to work from home? And I was like, well, like, maybe I could. Like, we have a flexible policy here, but I like that I'm, like, available to her when I'm available to her.
Yeah.
100%. And when I'm at work, like, I don't have to worry about that. You know what I mean? Like, I can be there for her all the way when I'm not working, and I don't have to, like, balance it when I am.
Yeah.
But, yeah, lots of questions like that.
Yeah. And nothing against stay-at-home moms. Like,
No,
that's the
not at
thing,
all.
and that's great. And it's for some people and it's not for others. But it's surprising how many people
Because nobody's
say
going to
it in
ask the
that
dad
way.
that.
Nobody asks the dad that. Never. They never ask the dad that. They never, the whole time you're pregnant, people are like, well, what's going to happen to the baby when you go back to work? Like, where are you going to keep the baby? Who's going to watch the baby? And no one has ever asked my husband those questions. And 3 children, no one has ever asked him where the baby's going to daycare.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah, it's just a thing that happens, I guess. So yeah, that's interesting, like having that. And then I also think coming back to work, it's a hard thing. It's a struggle that first few weeks, few months, year, whatever it takes. It's hard to get used to doing both. You're home on maternity leave for however many months, and then you come back and you don't feel like yourself. You don't feel like you did before, and you're tired and you're hormonal and, all of those things. So it's like, that's a struggle. And then I feel like there's some people who don't want to come back to work and have to, and then other people who maybe have to, but maybe don't have to, but want to. And there's that like divide among working moms, which I think is tough too.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a scary thing to come back, even if you love your job, which we all do. I just remember, like, I wanted to come back. There was never any question. But when I took maternity leave, I took it. In my mind, before I left, I was like, oh, I'm going to keep up with everyone. I'm going to listen to Marketing O'Clock every week. Didn't. I'm going to check Slack and hang out with people. Didn't.
You did a little bit.
A little bit, but like once a week, if that, right?
Yeah.
I was not as on top of it as I thought I was going to be. And I didn't have to be. It wasn't required of me, but I love the people I work with. We're fortunate enough to have those relationships. And so it was weird to be gone. And I thought, oh, I can't wait to go back, And then like a week before, I just started crying every day. Not about coming back, but about the thought of like leaving little guy at home and not being there all the time. And it was a really weird time because it was like, you feel that I want to be with my baby, and I'm doing that for him or her, but I so badly want to go back to work for me. And like part of the crying was like, emotionally torn too. Like, it's the first time you kind of had to go back to maybe giving your own self and your sanity a little bit more, not more priority, but giving it some priority versus just this thing you've been keeping alive for a couple months. It was just a really weird time for sure. I don't know, Shep, how you felt
I handled
being
it
most recent.
Yeah, I handled it a little differently than you because I took a little more time than you, but I was a little bit more in than you. Like, I listened to Marketing O'Clock.
Yeah.
Which made me feel, I think it made the transition a little bit easier for me. And just listening to the podcast, like, wasn't that much. But for me, like, coming back, I really, from day one, I feel like my days are flying by. And I don't, like, get that sad while I'm here, but it's, like, the commute. It's, like, when I leave here, I'm, like, in a rush to get there. And, like, when I hit traffic, like, I feel like I could cry because I just, like, want to get to her so bad. And then, like, what's overwhelming for me the most out of everything is like unpacking the car and repacking it. Like, it's so weird, like what matters. Like, I get home and I like cannot fathom taking all of the bags out of my car. I've talked to you about this.
How many bags do you have to bring everywhere?
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I'm here all day and I feel like I can handle everything, and then I get home and I'm like, I cannot do this. I just want to be with the baby and play with the baby. So yeah, being at work is fine. It's the commute that's hard for me.
Yeah, that is hard because you feel like I don't have that much time until she goes to bed.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, every minute that I'm in this car without her, I'm like, it's another minute closer to bedtime. And that's tough.
Yeah.
I feel like that first year is the hardest with that kind of stuff. So I feel you.
Does it get easier, Jill?
Yeah, for sure. Now, sometimes like, I mean, my kids are a little bit older now. So it's like, we're together all weekend and we're always doing things, and they stay up a little bit later than when they were babies. I mean, my oldest would go to bed at like 6:45. Like she was like an early bed person, and now she like never sleeps and stays up till midnight. She doesn't want to sleep. We don't put her to bed at midnight, but she just will like be in her room awake forever. She just hates to sleep. But yeah, like you just feel like I don't have that much time. And then, if you're only having an hour every day, then like every week you feel like, oh my God, I only spent 5 minutes or 5 hours.
Yeah.
And it just feels like little. But then as they get older and you're spending more of that quality time with them and you're into their activities and things like that, it does get easier.
Mm-hmm. And I think I might be getting ahead, but you just like cherish the time so much more. So like last weekend I had a 3-day weekend and it felt like a week, like in the best way. Like it felt like so much more time. So just like enjoying those moments you have and the time you do have off, I think helps a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think coming back puts that into perspective. Whereas when you're at home and you're on maternity leave and you're just like there all the time, it's awesome. But like you said, you just cherish it so much more because you're like, this is the only time that I have today and I am going to use it. And I am going to not be on my phone and I am just going to like look at you and play with you and be present, right? Makes it easier to do that because you're not doing it all the time.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So I found when I went back to work after my first, I remember feeling like I had such better time management skills because I wanted to leave at 5 o'clock. Like I was not gonna, let people take time from me that I didn't want them to. So, you get caught in the like where someone stops by your office and then they're chatting for 20 minutes.
Usually it's you.
It might be me. Yeah, now it is, right? Sorry, I won't do that to you.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
But I mean, I like when I went back the first time, 7 years ago, it was like I'd be in my office and I'd be trying to get something done. Then someone would pop by and they'd be talking about their weekend or this or that. And I'd just be like, oh, I got really good at saying like, I have to finish this right now, but I can chat with you tomorrow. Or, trying to get those people kind of out, the time suck out of there because I wanted to leave at 5 o'clock. Like I did not want to stay and, be working on things later or go back on my laptop later and that kind of thing. So I don't know, somehow it made me better time management.
Yeah.
But not necessarily personally. Like I joke all the time that either we're a half an hour early for everything or half an hour late, like when I take the kids anywhere, because you just can never judge how long it's going to take you to get them all wrangled into their car seats, all of that.
Yeah. And I feel like just setting the expectation with your coworkers, like we have kind of flexible hours here. Mm-hmm. And since I had the baby, I've been coming in earlier than everyone and I need to leave earlier. Mm-hmm. And I think now we're like in a groove where everyone has an understanding, but I had to like set the expectation of day one of coming back, like out the door at 4:30. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. And I think you have to adjust for yourself too. Not that you were ever here super late, but like that wasn't you before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was here super late.
Well, yeah, sometimes. And me too, right? And it was just like fine because you'd have husbands to go home to, sure, but like they understood. And it was like, oh, I can stay until 7 and finish this so I don't have to do it, get ahead for tomorrow or whatever, just be in work mode. And it's like, no, I can't do that anymore. Mm-hmm. You have someone waiting to see you.
And that's another reason I just respect moms who work at home and don't know how I could do it. Because even like working at home during the pandemic, you're just like plugged in all the time. And for me, like my computer was in my living room and I was just staring at it all the time. And I worked so many more hours. I was also writing a book. And the boundaries were just really off for me. Like I would do work whenever I could. And now I just have to set up those boundaries more. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad I have.
Exactly. Well, and personally too, I think I'm better. On the last episode, we talked about how I like never say no to things and I always say yes, right? And I still have a hard time doing that. But I do feel like since I've had kids, I'm better at protecting my personal time.
Yeah.
As like if a friend wants to go out to dinner or do something and it's somebody that I don't necessarily like want to go out to dinner with, or, you know, like a group of friends that you're like, you know what, I'll skip out on it this time. And I'm better at protecting that time and not feeling bad about it, where in the past I would feel more guilty for ditching them.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, so on a personal note along those lines, one of the best pieces of advice I got as a mom, I got from Jill. And it was, you can do like one thing in the morning and one thing in the afternoon, right? So anything else that you do is bonus, but like set those expectations for yourself, whether it's with friends or with your kid. In the time off, using it wisely, just keep the expectations reasonable. You know what I mean? If you're going to go to the museum, you're going to go to the museum. That's the thing you're going to do. You're not going to go to the museum and Wegmans, the grocery store, and go see your mom like you would have done before. And just, I feel like that really stuck with me on a personal level at home, but also with friends. Being like, oh, we already have this one thing we're doing. Like, sure, we could probably squeeze it in, but I'm not going to promise that. And I think it's just so refreshing. Not that kids are an excuse, right? But they're a reason. They like empower you to chill out, prioritize what you're going to do. And then again, you value the time at home more because you're just focused on one thing and not worried about the next thing you're going to do. So that was huge for me.
I haven't heard that advice yet.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I love it.
I need to write these things down. It can be like our maternity leave guide. When you come back, you get these things.
Yeah, because we're going to get to your glass and plastic ball thing soon, which I think about
Hope
all
so.
the time.
Life-saving. Yeah.
Well, the time thing, I read that a while ago. It was something like where if you divide your weekend into 7 parts, so you have Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening, and then Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and like you take at least one of those parts to do nothing, where you don't have plans, where it's like Saturday morning, we're going to chill and not go anywhere. Like in my house, Saturday morning is soccer, bleeds into Saturday afternoon. But then like I don't plan something else for Saturday afternoon that I have to like run to, or, you know, 7 different things that I have to do. I try to like be like, oh, we're going to go to my parents' house on Sunday morning, and that's what we're doing Sunday morning. And that's what it is. So I guess, you know, we talked a little bit about like the balancing act and some tricks for that, like time management on the weekends and things like that. And I guess we could talk about the plastic balls and glass balls.
Yeah.
We talk about it all the time, and I love it. It's like my favorite thing that I ever read as advice. But that all things that you juggle are either a plastic ball or a glass ball, and you have to know which one you can drop because they're not all created equal. So being late to church is okay. It's a plastic ball, as opposed to, you know, something that's life-threatening, or not being there when your kid's sick, or something, you know, of that nature. But I don't know. I really love that advice too. Like, I didn't make it up.
Well,
I just shared it. I shared it a lot.
I think about it. Is this a plastic ball or a glass ball? What would Jill say?
Yep. I think about it in life and at work too, because when you do have to go home to be with your family, it's like something you may have stayed for before that's a total plastic ball. You just wanted to get it out of the way. You're going to go home because it's a plastic ball, and you can answer that email in the morning or whatever. It just gives you a lot of, I don't know, that was like life-saving to me coming back, because everything felt like a glass ball, and it totally wasn't. But I needed somebody to tell me that, so that was huge.
What other tricks or life hacks do you have for survival?
You guys love life hacks in your house.
We do love life hacks.
They're pranks though, right? Like, they're not hacks.
Yeah. My girls love to watch YouTube videos of pranks and then call them life hacks. So it's how I learn a lot of my life hacks. But do you have any other tips or tricks that have helped you this past 2 years?
Yeah, and I hate to keep going back to the home life, because I know this is about being a working mom, but like, you have to balance more when you are a working mom. So how you manage your time at home is just as important. And I read this recently, and I've only done it once, and it was life-changing, is multitasking. Like, your kid's in the bath, that's when you clean the bathroom. Obviously, wait until they're old enough that you're not like having to be there to make sure they don't drown. But if they're standing there in the shower and you have to be in the room, but you don't have to micromanage, like, clean the toilet. It saves you so much time. And I just feel like looking for ways to do that, because I feel like if you work at an agency, you're probably multitasking all the time when you're at work. Use those skills at home and come up with your own hacks. Like, if you're hanging out in the kitchen, playing on the floor, like, maybe you cut up some veggies for dinner or something, because you're needed there, but you're not like actively playing. So I've been trying to think about that more, but the bathroom thing was huge for me. I cleaned the whole bathroom while the child cleaned himself. It was great.
Nice.
It's awesome. Total win.
That's awesome. How about you? Do you have any?
I don't know if any of these are hacks, But another thing with like taking the time where you have it, like I said, she goes to bed at 7:30. So if she wakes up at 5, I can't be mad about it. I just need to like take advantage of the time, play with her, enjoy it, because I don't get a lot of time in the day. And then also, I just think surrounding yourself with a good support system, like they say, it takes a village. But we all get like a lot of help from our parents watching the kids, and like my husband's really good about, like I said, about like unloading the car. He knows I just can't do it. He does that for me.
So sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, so just like dividing up things that, you know, knowing each other's like weak points and like where the other person needs to step up, I think is really important.
Yeah. I think it's funny because it's like cliche, but so true that it takes a village, because you really do need all those people. Like I can't imagine if I lived far from my parents. Like they live super close and they help us all the time with things. Like my dad's getting the kids off the bus today. But it's, you know, they're there for us and they help. And I think asking for help is something that was really hard, because I've always been really independent and just, you know, want to do things on my own. And then I feel like, you know, sometimes you forget that, oh, I can just call my dad and ask him to help me with this, or I can call my mom or my sister, or, you know, they're happy to help. And just like I would be for them. But sometimes it's like getting over that hump of asking for it when you don't think about it.
So total hack that I implemented today on a client call: when you need to make small talk, having a child gives you something to talk about.
Oh, totally.
And it's not universal, right? Not everybody has a kid, but if you see like a picture on someone's desk, or in this case, it happened to me, the client, we were on a video chat and she saw the picture of my little guy on my desk, and we started talking about kids while we were waiting for everybody else to join. It fills the space, right? So it just gives you a natural thing to talk about that's not the weather.
The weather, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just as easy to just say whatever. So that there's a hack for you.
I love
Talk
that.
about your kid. People love it.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Ask
right?
about their kids really is the hack.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so this is funny. I'm going to go back to the judging before you have kids. So shout out to Trisha, one of our clients, who I know will be listening to this. She told me recently, before she became a parent, she was super judgy, because I was telling her we were going to do this. And she said that before she became a parent, she's like, I was the worst. I was so judgy. I hated when people would tell me dumb stories about their kids. And she's like, and then I had a kid and I just started talking about him all the time because he's the best kid that ever lived. And she goes, and then I started apologizing to my coworkers for like eye rolling or being like, sorry when I was traveling with you and you were telling me all about your kid that I thought it was lame, like all these things. And I just thought it was so funny because I just, you know, you don't think about those kinds of things when you don't have kids. And now I'm always like, oh, shoot, I hope they don't think my story's lame. I better just go tell Jess or Shep.
We're always here for it.
I better go tell them this story. They won't think it's lame.
No, never.
Fascinating, always. But also, like, your kids run your life, right? You don't really have many other stories. If you do, you're living a full life.
One of the things I was thinking about, too, when you were saying about getting up early. So my baby was my early riser. He used to wake up at like 4 a.m. when he was 1.5. And he'd be up and he'd be like, I'm awake. Like he would not, it wasn't like I could calm him back to sleep. It was like he was up for the day. And him and I would play trucks and like play with all of his toys on the living room carpet and all these things. And I would tell myself all the time, like, this is just for a season. By the time it's the next season, he won't do this anymore.
And then you're going to miss it.
And now, like now he doesn't do that anymore. And it's kind of weird. Like, I mean, I don't like to get up that early, but it's weird. Like I never spend that time in the morning with him anymore because he doesn't get up that early. So,
and something
I like that you're enjoying it.
Yeah. Something nobody told me, but I guess is pretty common because I thought I just had like a prodigy. But I guess a lot of babies are like really happy in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I have one of those. Awesome. So like we wake her up and it's like her biggest smile of the day when she sees us for the first time, and then like gradually she gets fuzzier and fuzzier throughout the day. So you got to take advantage of that time.
Yeah. It's so fun. And you got to remember to count that time when you're like, I only got an hour with her last night. It's like, but you spent 3 hours with her this morning when she woke you up at 4.
Exactly.
Think of all the sunrises that you wouldn't have seen.
Oh, I don't. The blinds are closed.
Fair enough.
Maybe this summer.
Yeah.
When she wakes you up. So one of the other things that I have found really interesting since I've been a mom is all of the chatter on like mommy blogs and social media. And there is that, you know, I said before, like that divide between stay-at-home moms and working moms. And then between the working moms who want to be a working mom versus the ones who feel like they have to be a working mom. And that's like a different mentality too. And it's all on, the Facebook groups and scarymommy.com and all of those things. And like, I don't know, like I end up sometimes like you get deep in those comments. And how do you guys deal with that, or do you avoid it, or what do you take advice from, and what do you ignore?
I avoid it for the most part. Baby center was like my favorite thing when I was pregnant. They told me what was going on at each stage, and then they have for your child like blogs you can read for every week and all the things they're developing. I love to read that, but as soon as you get to the comments on the articles or the forums, I stay away from it. I just don't. My support system is like people like me. I seek out the other moms in my life like you guys, because we are all those working mothers that want to be here, but we also love our kids so much. So like I feel like you need to find other moms like you, whether it's on the internet or in life, and just don't let the other ones worry you or scare you or make you feel bad, right? Because different things work for different people. And I think just look for your own support system. For me, it's not on the internet, but for some people, it may be all they have and it may be a great thing. So I don't want to like poop on it too much. But for me, I just try to avoid that because it's just things I don't need in my life. I feel like I have enough moms to talk to,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm in Facebook groups, as you know. I don't see a lot about like working or staying at home. I feel like the ones I'm in are mostly working moms.
What about you? Do you even keep up with that now that your kids are a little more grown?
I mean, I do, but now it's like a little bit different in some of the, like now I'm paying attention more to the like older kid stuff as opposed to like the baby safety and those kinds of things. But a lot of times, like I love the threads that'll say things like, how do you get it all done? How do you prep for dinner and work and commute and, make sure your kids aren't just like watching YouTube 24 hours a day and like all these things. And I always like read through those for comments.
Yeah.
I saw one the other day that actually I posted one. I said, please recommend breast milk storage bags that aren't actively trying to ruin my life. And I got a lot of great recommendations.
Nice.
I just need to avoid the stuff that's like making me spiral. Like, oh my God, is she okay all the time?
Yeah.
That's the only time it's bad.
Yeah. I want more of the tips and tricks and the life hacks and the like, what makes this easier? I don't know. It's just, it's like, there's a few things, right? Like, it's like, how do you make your life easier without feeling the guilt and, using your village and your support system? Like I think that's what it comes down to when you're working and you're a mom. So it's like, I don't know, looking for that information from anywhere is helpful.
Yeah.
So, and I guess the mom guilt thing is tough because a lot of people, just like when you're pregnant and they say, oh, are you going to go back to work, or who's going to watch your baby and blah, blah, blah. Like while you're working, people ask those kinds of things like, oh, aren't you afraid you're going to miss their first steps? And like things like that. And it's real because even if you don't have it internally, people try to make you feel that guilt.
Yeah.
And I've had it on the opposite side at the place that I used to work where like, oh, I didn't invite you to that meeting because I figured you'd have to rush out and get the kids from daycare. And it's like, did I say that? Like, why didn't you ask me? And it's like, then you get this guilt like on the professional side. Like, am I not doing everything I could be doing, for my career? And is it holding me back? And, so it's just like a really hard juxtaposition of feelings because you just always feel guilty all the time. But I try to avoid it. And I don't know. Sometimes you're successful, sometimes you're not.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think, go ahead, Shep.
I was just going to say, I feel like that's another one that's a lot about who you surround yourself with. And just like knowing who to turn to when you're feeling that way. And like, I know if I talk to you guys about it, you would let me know what's a glass ball and what's a plastic ball.
Yeah.
Thanks. I'm glad.
Yeah. And I think that does, to just build on that, it goes to your work community too, right? Not just the other moms that you work with, but everyone that you work with. So you establish those, rules for yourself. I'm going to be in at this time, out at this time. These are the things I'm going to do, whatever. But you still feel like you want to pull your own weight and you want to be reliable. And I think the village thing is about you too, right? And it's your work village. And when I came back, I struggled a lot with baby brain. I had it real bad while I was pregnant. And then when I came back, I was fuzzy for a year. It took a long time for the fog to clear, but I was my biggest critic, and I just helped to talk about it because I know a lot of people experience that. So just to be able to say hey, I really feel like I'm still not at my best. What can I do? What's your feedback? Can you help me with this? And hopefully everybody listening has that supportive work community. And if you don't, I'm sorry, you should probably find somewhere else to be. But I guess just not being afraid to voice that, because you may be feeling guilt that you don't need to. You know what I mean? Like some people, maybe they're not going to invite you to a meeting, but other people, maybe they are just trying to protect you is the wrong word, but maybe they think you can't handle something, or, and you know that you can, or maybe you think you can't. And I don't know. Communication is just huge. And I feel like people don't really talk about it, because once you have the baby, it's about the baby. It's not about you anymore, but sometimes it is. And you need to communicate what you can and can't do and work through it, obviously. So.
Yeah. Well, I always see, too, that reminded me of this, I guess I'll call it a meme, but it's more of like a quote that people share as an image, I guess, on like social media. I always see this thing that's like people or society wants moms to parent as if they don't have a job, and they want them to work like they're not a parent. And I feel like that's such a like cynical point of view, and I think that if you're in a position that you feel that way, you should get out and you should find someplace that feels like Cypress North. But also, I feel like it's table stakes now. Like almost like a lot of mothers work. It's not 50 years ago where most mothers didn't. Most families that I know have 2 working parents, and to have a place that you're not allowed or don't feel comfortable feeling like being a mother is part of me, and that's important. I don't know. I feel bad for anybody that's going through that.
And I don't know if any non-moms are listening, but if you are, like, pay attention to how your company treats moms that work for your company, and get out now if it's bad. Because you can just get stuck somewhere, and like you need to be ready.
Or work to make the change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Of course. Jill, you are so much more positive than me. Be the change, you guys.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
I love that.
Well, and you can't always, right? If you're like entry level at like a giant corporation, maybe you can't necessarily make that culture change. But if you see something that is, that moms in your workplace are being treated differently, or, be that person that's more understanding about it, or think about how you could change the way you work or the process that you work. There's, especially since the pandemic, right? And we were all working from home, and everyone's working different hours. And sometimes I had to be like, I'm going to be away from my computer for 3 hours this afternoon because I have all these kids here and they're going insane, and I couldn't work. And then I'd get back on my laptop later at night. And to be understanding and flexible, and not just of people who report to you, but of your coworkers, is important. So
definitely,
I guess, be the change or leave.
That's a change too.
No, I was thinking of like bigger companies when I said that.
I agree.
With girlfriends I have. Yeah.
No, but I agree. Like, it's like you have to do what you can do to either change where you are or change your situation. So, good advice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Quit your job.
That was not the takeaway.
Good advice. Quit your job. All right. So to kind of bring this together, any last parting words of wisdom? Anything, we haven't talked about or touched upon about being a working mom that you would tell a friend? Because all of our listeners are friends, so...
I would just say I'm so new to this, but it's totally doable. And if you're like waiting to have a baby for work things, you can do both. Don't wait. They're the best.
I like that.
That is good.
Good advice.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it's okay. Like, whatever it is, it's okay. You have to put a little more hours into work this week. It's okay. You have to be a mom a little bit more this week. It's okay. Just give yourself that breathe. It's okay.
I like that.
Gets me through. Like, it's okay that I did this or didn't today, because tomorrow's a new day. Just give yourself that grace. You got this, Mom.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Do you have advice?
Well, I guess, we talked about it a lot, but finding your tribe, both at work, outside of work, getting your people that you can rely on. And, like, I have these 2 wonderful women here, but also, everyone here is super supportive and great to talk to. But I think, like, having those mentors, other people that like a group of my friends, a lot of them are moms that work that don't really want to work and they don't care about their jobs. And then I have one friend that is like a career woman, and I always go to her for advice when I'm feeling stressed out. And so having that person is really helpful. They get it.
Yeah.
They know what you're going through. So All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This was really fun.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we like talking about our kids, so have us back.
Of course, of course. And we'd love to hear from our listeners if you have any tips or tricks or mom hacks for working parents, not just moms, but if you're a working parent. I guess we really left the dads out of the equation today.
Dads are rad.
So if you have any tips or tricks, any kind of working mom thoughts that you want to share with us, come follow us on the Agency Scoop on Twitter or on LinkedIn at the Agency Scoop page, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Agency Scoop. If you liked what you heard, you can subscribe so you don't miss a show. You can also find us on the Cypress North YouTube channel or follow the Agency Scoop on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'd love to hear your ideas for future topics. See you next time on the Agency Scoop.